Dr. Michael Oren joins me, former ambassador of Israel to the United States, but he is not in Israel because he has frequent flyer miles forever. He's in Jupiter, Florida. Good morning, doctor. Thank you for getting up early today.
Good morning. Very early.
I
Good morning,
just
Hugh.
had
How are you?
good. I just had on Arsen Ostrovsky, who heads the International Legal Forum. Maybe you know, maybe you don't, out of Tel Aviv. And I never learned about UNRWA until this week, Dr. Oren. How can we not know? I never, I'm not that dumb. How does anyone like me not know that UNRWA is a corrupt and rather unique UN organization?
It's unique, corrupt, and one of the greatest factors that perpetuates the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. A tremendous contributor to that conflict because it educates Palestinian young people to basically reject the idea of a state of Israel, to seek what they call return. Return is just a euphemism for Israel's destruction. And beyond that, it's the only refugee organization that deals with one refugee problem, the Palestinian problem. All other refugees in the world, all other issues, millions and millions of people are under the High Commissioner of the UN for refugees. Palestinians have their own organization. It's the only organization in the world that passes on refugee status from father to son to grandson and great-grandson. And I would add one more thing. It is the only refugee organization in the world that continues to bestow refugee status on refugees who are actually living in their homeland, because the refugees in Gaza are living in Palestine, the refugees in the West Bank are living in Palestine by their own definition, and the refugees in Jordan are citizens of Jordan, and yet they're still considered refugees.
All right, so riddle me this. How do we not know this? And I say we broadly, meaning smart Americans who generally support Israel and follow the Israeli conflicts and are always on the side of the IDF. But UNRWA exists out there. It's evidently gotten billions of dollars. It's so corrupt, I'm actually gobsmacked. I did not know that thousands of them took up arms against Israel. How do we not know that in the United States?
We tried and we tried and we tried. We couldn't get people to listen to us. We've been talking about UNRWA for years and years, and saying this, it's got to stop. And I wrote an article recently for Sapir magazine. It's an article magazine started by Bret Stephens, where I talked about the day after. And one of the conditions for the day after is that UNRWA never be allowed to set foot again in Gaza. Can't. That's perpetuating the conflict.
So when we see an UNRWA school is destroyed, blown up intentionally, and there's a big story in the New York Times today about the IDF blowing up building, we shouldn't think of it as an UNRWA school. We ought to think of it as a Hamas depot, right?
Or a Hamas headquarters, or a Hamas arsenal, or a Hamas rocket factory. They've all been found in UNRWA schools, of course, and it's paid for by U.S. tax dollars. The previous president had cut off support for UNRWA. The current administration had renewed it. And I'll make a prediction. I tweeted a prediction the other day that these countries, the United States and 9 other countries that have suspended support for UNRWA because 12 members of UNRWA, 12 teachers, were implicated in the massacres of October 7th, UNRWA would then say, listen, we're doing an internal investigation, we're cleaning our house, and those funds would be renewed within a short period of time. And I think the State Department has said the suspension is not indefinite. And they're reviewing it. That's my feeling, that they're not going to cut off funds to UNRWA during election year. But they should know that if you actually care about the Palestinians, the last thing you should do is give money to UNRWA.
Okay, very quickly, Michael, what brings you back to the United States so quickly after your Hatzalah tour?
Well, at the beginning of my of this war, I established an NGO called Israel Advocacy Group, IAG, which promotes and defends Israel in the media, both in the United States, throughout the world, all forms of the media. As you see, 24/7, we're working. It's a very dedicated staff to prevent Israel and to give time and space, Hugh, time and space for the IDF to fill its mission. And we're working for that. You can see it also online, Israel Advocacy Group.
Israel Advocacy Group. I gather you are the leading figure in that, but what else is it doing? There's only one Michael Oren. You can only do 24/7, 365. You got anyone else out there on the circuit spreading the word?
We have a dedicated team of young people who work literally around the clock for social media, for podcasts. You know, my Substack Clarity. That involves a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of editing to get that out there. If you get I would strongly recommend to read today's Clarity. You'll love it, Hugh. It's called "When Will They Ever Learn?" It's about America's non-response to Iranian aggression, and how that non-response will actually lead to more aggression, not to less aggression, and actually endangers pitching the entire region into a war by non-response. Read Clarity. It's things you don't get in the press.
I will. Last question, Michael. The president says he knows how he's going to respond to Iran. Do you think he'll respond to targets inside of Iran or on the periphery or far away?
Well, I've been listening to American news, CNN, MSNBC, and I've watched Democratic figure after Democratic figure saying that they're not going to respond to Iran. It's amazing. Iran says we're not afraid of war. America keeps on saying we're afraid of war. It's an extraordinary moment. And in this Clarity article, I suggest one target. Here's a good target for you. Why doesn't the United States bomb the factory that made the drone that killed the American service member? A blow to Iran and a blow to Russia uses those drones to kill Ukrainians.
Excellent idea. I heard that from Jim Garrity as well. When Garrity and Oren are agreeing on a target list, I think that's a good target list. Dr. Michael Oren, Dr. Michael Oren on X, the site formerly known as Twitter, the Israel Advocacy Forum as well. Go and find and support Dr. Oren's group. Thank you, Michael Oren.